This is CPM Precalculus Chapter 2, number 114. So here we're asked to simplify the following rational expressions. Alright, so let's first take a look at the math note above. Alright, so the math note is saying that when you're multiplying rational expressions, factor the numerator and denominators first. Okay, so what that is saying to do is to take each one of these and factor it. So x squared minus 4, we could see is the difference of two squares, right? And so that's just going to be x plus 2 times x minus 2 over, here we can use the x method, and we'll see that this is just multiplying x plus 2 times x plus 2 times, here we're going to use the x method again to factor this. That's going to be x plus 2 times x minus 3. And in the denominator here, we have the difference of two squares. That's x plus 3 times x minus 9. X minus 3 to get x squared minus 9. And now we're just going to, since it's multiplying, right, we're just going to multiply across. And this just becomes these terms multiplied divided by these terms being multiplied. And we can cancel out any common terms in the numerator and denominator. So here we have x plus 2. X plus 2 cancel, right? We have x minus 3 and x minus 3, they cancel. Here we have x plus 2, right? And so that just simplifies to be, in the numerator we have x minus 2 left over, and in the denominator we have x plus 3 left over. So that is the example they use. Let's go ahead and look then at number 114, part A. So let's factor the numerator, okay? Here we factor 4x squared minus 8x. Remember, this is basically they both have 4 we could divide out, and x we could divide out, okay? So we take 4x out of 4x squared, we're left with just x. We take 4x out of 8x, we're left with 2, all right? In the denominator, we have the difference of two squares. So that's x plus 3 times x minus 3, right? In the numerator here, let's go ahead and do that. We have x squared minus 12, minus 12. And we can use, factor this, we can use the x method. And that's basically saying, look here, what two numbers do we multiply to get to negative 12? And then we add to get to negative 1. Okay, so what numbers do you multiply to get to negative 12? So you just got to think, well, 6 times 2 is 12, 3 times 4 is 12. So if you multiply negative 4 times positive 3, you get negative 12. If you add them, you get negative 1. So that's equal to x plus 3. You're just getting the plus 3 here. And x minus 4, you're getting the minus 4 from there. Alright, so that is just how we factor the numerator. So again, this then is going to be written as x plus 3 times x minus 4 over, and here we have, we can factor out a common term. They both have 2, right? 2 and 2 can be divided into both of those, and x squared can be divided out as well. So then we're left with, here we're left with just x minus 8 divided by 2 is 4, and that's all we're left with there. Okay, so then since these are multiplied, right, we just put them, we combine the numerator and denominator, and all these terms are being multiplied together. So let's go ahead and cancel any like terms, right? So we see x minus 4 gets canceled. Let me use a different color just so it's easier to see. X minus 4, x plus 3, right? We have x squared and x, so this x cancels with the squared, right? That gets rid of 1x. This 2 cancels with the 4, and you're left with 2, right? Because 4 divided by 2 is 2. And so all you're left with in the numerator here is 2 times x minus 2. And the denominator, you're left with the x here and the x minus 3. Okay? So this is factoring it. It's a lot different than adding rational expressions. Here we're multiplying, so we just go ahead and multiply across the numerator and denominator and cancel like terms. So let's go on to part B. Part B here, again, we want to factor this. Remember, the first term, x squared minus y squared, is over 1. Okay, we're multiplying. So let's go ahead and factor the numerator. That's the difference of two squares, so it's x plus y times x minus y over 1, right? Times, well, what do we have here? We could factor out a 4 from both of these. We could factor out an x from both of these. So factor out the 4 and the x, you're left with x here, and here you're left with just plus y, okay? Here in the denominator, well, if you look at this, it's x squared plus 2xy plus y squared. You can factor this using the x method again. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite it like this, right? So if I'm going to factor this, I'm using the x method. What terms can we multiply to get y squared and add to get 2y? And if we multiply y times y, we get y squared. Add y plus y, we get 2y. So that's just going to be x. Again, this is a positive y and a positive y, so x plus y times x plus y, right? So let's put that in a bubble over here. So we can factor this then to be x plus y times x plus y, as we just did. All right? So then we're going to look here and cancel out any common terms in the numerator with the denominator. Numerator, denominator. Okay, so what are we left with? Well, we just have in the denominator, it's over 1, so that doesn't matter anymore. We're left with 4x times x minus y, right? Over 1, but we don't need to say that, right? Because over 1 is just implicit, right? So that is part B. And that ends for us CPM Precalculus, Chapter 2, number 114.